Is it guitar hype? Stay tuned and find out. Welcome to Gibson Guitars. If you're new to the channel, please like, subscribe, share, comment, hit me in the bell icon, and if you're one of the new subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing and supporting the channel. It really makes the difference. For the past few months I've had a little bit of a topic on my mind, and I thought, shall I make a little bit of a video about guitars and what you can buy from low end to top end. For me personally, I've bought a few guitars in the last few years, and for me, I think I've bought quite sensibly. Where is the sensible money in buying a guitar? Now, that alone is very subjective in the topic of guitar buying, because it depends on who you are as an individual, what you want from that guitar, and how much budget have you got. And it's bewildering out there, and what I'm aiming to do in this video is not give you any definitive answers on what to buy in terms of you need to buy this because it's just been released, it's in this colour. It's really just to give you a little bit of a guide on what I did and how I ended up buying that Telecaster up there. We're going to use that as a benchmark in identifying what you can buy from the bottom end of the production range right up to the top end of the spectrum in terms of master built, luthiers. We're talking about top end craftsmanship. But is there middle ground, and is there hype built into this equation? And I'm a little bit worried about this, because I think to a degree we can all get sucked into it. You've got to buy this. So I'll give you a little bit of an example. Using the Fender Telecaster, you can start off with, say, for example, at the budget end of the guitar spectrum there, the Fender Squier series. There's no such thing these days as a poor guitar. Standards in terms of manufacturing have increased in quality massively over the last 3 decades since I started playing guitar in the late 1980s. My first guitars were absolutely awful to play, and you compare that to today's specimens, and the guitars are really affordable, made in vast quantities, probably in Indonesia or Mexico or somewhere, and they are to a true high quality for the price. Now, when you start progressing through the range, you've not only got the introduction models, but equally you start moving through the Mexican-made guitars, which are, say, for example, the Vintera series. They do Stratocasters as well. And you can move then on to, say, for example, for the Fender Originals, you can move on to the Fender Players series. You've then got the Fender Ultra series, you've got the Fender Custom Shop, you've got Fender Custom Shop Master Built, and the list is endless, and it's a nightmare. And it's like, where do you fit in? And where did I fit into that equation a few months ago when I was looking for a Fender Telecaster? Quite like the vintage specification guitars at the minute, and I was looking primarily for something that wasn't a modern variation on the Telecaster. It had to have that vintage special vibe. And for many, many years, I was always attracted to the Blackguard 52, which David Gilmour used on Run Like Hell. I love the tone of it, never owned one, and that was what I wanted to buy. It is bewildering out there, it really, really is. So if I was going to buy new, and I wanted a vintage spec guitar at an affordable price, I would naturally have to look at the Fender Original Series guitars. Now, the interesting thing about the Fender Original Series guitars is this: they don't specifically look at an iconic instrument from a given time and date in production, like the 1952 Telecaster. What they will do is actually produce a guitar based upon a period of time, taking all the key features from their innovations at that time and making what's called a Fender Original Telecaster. So I looked at these and I thought, yeah, not really into that kind of vibe. I wanted like a model specific year of a Blackguard 52 Telecaster. So I started looking around and I was naturally pushing myself into the Fender custom shop arena. And I was thinking, well, this is going to get quite expensive, is this? We're getting to around about, say, £3,500 for a new guitar, which is essentially a 1952 Telecaster. Now, if you look at my previous videos, I've got a 1957 American Vintage Reissue Fender Stratocaster. It's a hot rod edition, so it's got one or two factory modifications to it, which is a brilliant guitar, and the build quality is nothing but exceptional. I love that guitar. And I started looking around for an equivalent. The bottom line is there are one or two for sale, but not many, and this range of American Vintage Reissue guitars was discontinued a good few years ago, but their span of manufacturing ran over several decades, so you should be able to buy one. So when I started looking, there was a couple for sale in the UK, and I went to look at one in Ormskirk at Sound Effects, went to play the guitar, and unfortunately I walked away from it. It had a refret, but it played really well. And I got home that night and I thought, do you know what, I'm going to buy that guitar. I really liked it. I should have bought it in the shop. I should have bought it there and then. Went onto the website, next day, sold, missed the boat. I thought, no. So I was in a little bit of a dilemma. The guitar's been sold and I missed the boat, and I really did. I really kicked myself for that because it really was a nice guitar. So I started looking around on Reverb, and on my Reverb feed I've got Fender Telecasters set up, particularly with American Vintage reissues, and one popped up in London, and I did a deal over the phone, and that guitar is the guitar I bought, and I got it on mail order from a reputable dealer in London. So for me, the peace of mind was there. This trade has been around for years, and I was happy to buy the guitar online. If it's something on eBay and I didn't know who was buying it from, I probably wouldn't have done it. But that's not to say that you shouldn't do it. It's just about being careful before you press the buy it now button. I bought the guitar and it arrived, and I have to say I'm really pleased with it. So the guitar cost me £1,400, which is £2,000 cheaper than buying a Fender custom shop version, which to be honest will have been exactly the same as that one because that's a specification I would have wanted. And I think I've saved a heap of money. It's a 2000 model guitar, so the guitar's 21 years old. It's in very good condition. There's one or two minor marks on it, but for me, that's the story of a particular instrument, which is important to me, and I will add my story to that guitar as I continue to play it and do gigs with it and just enjoy playing it. Now, Mick Taylor from That Pedal Show also recently bought a Fender Telecaster. Now, Mick did a great video on his purchase of a Jason Isbell Fender Telecaster, which he bought in June of this year. Now, for me, I like the guitar, I like the sound of it, but there's two problems with that guitar for me personally. Now, I'm not saying he shouldn't have bought that guitar because he does his research, is very experienced, he used to edit Guitarist magazine, so he knows his onions. The price was £1,300 for a Mexican-made guitar. If you're looking at buying a Mexican-made guitar, you've got to really consider its future value. But that's only really important if you're going to sell that guitar at a later time. If you're intending to keep it, it doesn't really matter. It really doesn't matter. Joe Bonamassa has a Fender Nocaster, which is essentially Fender Telecaster, and there's lots of stuff on YouTube about why it's called the Telecaster now, why it was called the Nocaster for essentially 1 year, and the Broadcaster for that, but I'm not going to go into that here. But he's got a Nocaster, which is a Telecaster, which has been modified, which he calls the Bludgeon. And it sounds great, and it is a great guitar. It looks battered, looks secondhand, looks like it's been in the sea or on the beach, and he loves that guitar. Now, he approached Fender to have 100 of these made by a master builder, and you can put a deposit on that guitar, but unfortunately they're all sold, so there is a market for these. But the retail price for these, should you be lucky enough to buy one of the 100, was $8,500. And I'm thinking, what? It's just expensive. But is it really worth £8,500? They're all sold, so people are buying these. Collectors possibly, people that are fans of Joe Bonamassa. I think there's a little bit of a problem with this guitar, and it's this. If you're buying a guitar for $8,500, and it's battered and it's bruised and it looks like it's been on the beach for several decades, take a look at the case it's come in. It's absolutely pristine. Surely the case should be even more battered and weathered or relicked than the guitar that's contained inside of it. And I can't afford a guitar like that, and most people can't. And if we did, would we want to buy it? Probably not, but they've obviously sold 100 of these. And this is Joe Bonamassa's third Signature Series guitar this year. 2 by Epiphone, his Black Beauty. He's done another one, I think it's one of his Les Pauls again. And of course, this is his first one with Fender, with the Telecaster. But it doesn't stop there, so you can spend even more money. So if you're looking at a Les Paul, you can start right at the bottom end of the market with an Epiphone, which are very, very good instruments. And right up to the top end, we've now got Gibson Murphy Lab, where you can buy a Gibson Les Paul standard from 1959, a reproduction, relict or aged as you want to call it, and you can be paying around about £9,000 for that. I'm thinking, where does it stop? Where's this going in the future? And I have to be honest, the sensible money is probably further down the range, buying the Gibson Les Paul standards, which are currently on sale at the minute for around about £2,000, and you buy a very, very good instrument. So if you are in the market for a guitar, it really is just a case of look at your budget, what you're going to use it for, and what the resale value is going to be in the future should you want to sell it. And it really is a tricky one to look at. So what I've done this week is I've removed the neck from the Telecaster to check the date at the bottom of the neck, the year of manufacture and the month and that. And I've also checked in the neck pocket on the body just to make sure that the actual dealer that sold me the guitar sold me a true guitar as what that person had advertised on their website. And that is exactly what I did. And to be honest, that is why that guitar is set up there at the minute with no strings on it, because I've literally just had the neck on and off. I've not had time to put some new strings on. But I want to set the actual guitar up to my playability. It's had 9s on it. I'm going to put a set of 10s on it. I'm going to raise the action just marginally on it and set the guitar up to really suit me. And I'm really going to crack on and enjoy that guitar. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Gigs and Guitars. If you have, please support the channel by liking, subscribing, please share, comment, and hit me the bell icon, which is what it's all about. Let's tackle that YouTube algorithm and get this channel moving even more by getting up to 1,000 subscribers if we can, so please subscribe. And there's always time in the day for a brew. Cracking.